Hello and welcome back to my videos. I'm Klepik and today I'll be randomly choosing two colors to use for two paintings. So first up we have my first painting, and here on screen is me using a random number generator to choose the colors for me. So the numbers I got were 14 and 3, which line up with my cerulean blue and vermilion. I really hope I said that right. And also I'm using white because A, I need to be able to make the colors lighter if I want to, and B, it's my video, my rules, and my challenge. So first off, before I start talking about the painting I'm currently doing on screen, I just want to say the reason behind this challenge. So I've been painting a lot lately. If you've been on my channel, you would know I already have 2 videos out of me painting and learning how gouache works. But I've only been using the primary colors and black and white for these paintings. I got this gouache set that I've been using in my videos as a gift, and it actually comes with 42 different paints in it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with all these paints. I only need 5 of them. So I decided to do a random colors challenge to try and get more use out of them. Also, if this video does do well enough, I'll probably do a sequel just so I can use more of my neglected paints. Anyway, on to the story of this drawing, and I think you'll need to strap in for this drawing or this story because I wrote down that it's kind of long, but no, I changed that. It's really long. Oh my gosh. Okay. So first, I don't know why, but I really wanted to draw an elegant lady. Specifically a nymph when I saw the blue, and I just felt like a non-clothed lady would be kind of weird just to paint by itself. So I thought, why not make this nymph interact with something but make it kind of absurd? So after that, the idea came that she was going to be interacting with this fish, who she is also in love with. So now this fish may look like he does not care, but on the inside this fish is very happy. You just can't see it, but I bet the nymph knows. She knows. She definitely knows. So after this was decided, I thought, why not make it even less serious and add disapproving parents as well? So I imagined they would be talking to each other kind of like, a fish and a nymph? How unnatural! How morally disgusting is that? So while the nymph and the fish are just over there gazing lovingly into each other's eyes, they're just over there just like talking poop about them. So now you might be wondering, how could a fish and a nymph fall in love? More so, how could a nymph fall in love with a fish? But you know. And so the answer is, they weren't always fish. Bum bum bum. Before this, these fish were humans, and I don't think they were very nice ones at that, just judging on how rude the parents look in the painting. I don't think the village of people were very nice either. Some of the other fish who were once villagers I also painted in the background as the kind of fish swimming by. I don't think you'll really be able to see that until later in the speed paint, but just letting you know. So I think that since these people were not the nicest, they also didn't treat the land around them the nicest either. They were probably like super mean farmers or something who used excessive fertilizers and pesticides that ran off into nearby lakes and killed off the wildlife living in them. They're just insensitive. So because of this, a shortage of wildlife began, and the village still didn't care and continued their farming practices because of course they did. Even this nymph started feeling the effects of the harsh farming that the farmers were using, and I think like it's one thing for fish to die, but for a human to start feeling sick, or a human-like being to start feeling sick because of pollution, that's a big deal, because fish could probably like die before humans from pollution, but based on that, or just based on size, humans are probably stronger when it comes to immune systems. That's off topic though. This nymph decided that she had enough with the villagers by this point and started to demand that they stop being so cruel, but she was way too nice and she never really talks to humans, so she was way too nice and kind of a pushover because she never really had to talk to people, you know? That's when Fred comes along though. Fred is the fish she loves, by the way. I'm naming him Fred the fish. Except at this point, he's a person. So he came by to apologize for how she had been treated by the villagers and told her that he'd try to stop them from what they were doing, but that everyone always had the excuse that this was the best way and that they had to survive and that they had to make money and yada yada. After this interaction where Fred apologized to the nymph, who I'm gonna start calling Nancy because Fred the fish and Nancy the nymph sounds fun, they started hanging out and becoming more romantic. He would help her with her being so sick from the pollution, and while she appreciated it, she kept getting more and more agitated by the villagers and their attitudes of just killing all her fish friends and nobody seeming to care, besides Fred. So eventually she couldn't take it anymore. The pollution was getting too bad, and so, like the Lorax and the Onceler, except better because she actually did something, she turned all the villagers into fish. This way she could restore the ecosystem balance as well as reduce the pollution, and even now, as the villagers lived in the river with all the pollution that they caused, they could still only think of themselves and how it was so unfair that they had to live in this nasty environment. Even though they made it like this, it's their fault. So even through this, Fred and Nancy still hung out and loved each other, even if Fred's parents are bitches. And with that, the first painting is done. On to the next one. Do you like bearded dragons? What about, do you like commissions? Well, boy howdy, do I have a deal for you. So, my brother is moving away for college and is leaving his bearded dragon with me. And this girl needs a new cage as the current one is way too small. So if you would like to help me get this girl a new, properly sized cage, you should totally commission me. Details are listed below in the pinned comment, and back to the video. Thank you for listening. Next up, we have my second painting, and here on screen is me again using the random number generator to choose colors for me. So the numbers I got for this one were 6 and 41, which line up with my lily green and dark green, which really is more blue than green, but whatever. And plus, I will be using white again as well. Time to paint. So I'm still working on my characters' backstories, so let me know if their stories are like super bad or anything. I don't know how I feel about them, honestly. I get nervous sharing stories I come up with or writing that I do, because with art, it's very easy to tell if it's bad or not just by kind of looking at it, but with writing, I find it harder to tell because I can't just really look at it and point out mistakes visually because I can't really see anything, unlike with a painting where it's all in front of me, if that makes sense. So anyway, enough rambling about that. I'm just like covering my bases if these writings are like really bad. So this drawing was really interesting to come up with. At first I had no idea what to do, so I asked my brother what he thought, and he said trees and algae. So that got me thinking of kind of doing a landscape painting. A horrible idea! I have yet to paint landscapes, and I've only done still lifes of objects and fruit, so I'm genuinely horrified to do landscape paintings, but maybe that could be a potential video. After that, though, I started to think of mermaids and got the idea of, what if a mermaid was chilling in a swamp? So I did a couple of composition sketches of a mermaid at a swamp, but I didn't really like any of them, so after that, I tried drawing her underwater in like a very murky swamp water, and that's where I really got the idea of like the general pose for it, and the same pose I did end up going with for the painting I'm doing on screen, where she's kind of looking at the viewer and later to be a camera, and she looks kind of shocked with her tail up close to the foreground of the drawing and the rest of her body just kind of farther away. I really like the perspective of this pose and just decided to go with that because I thought it would be interesting to draw. So then I decided that the reason she would have this shocked expression was because she didn't know that she was trapped. That's right, the story behind this is that she is a mermaid trapped in an enclosure. She was a research experiment that didn't know that she was being researched. She's lived her whole life in this massive tank, thinking this was natural and this was how nature was. But then, over time, she'd noticed things over the years that just seemed fishy. Get it? I'm so funny, guys. fishy to her, and just it made her curious about exploration. And after all this, she never tried to travel very far and just never really tried to explore her habitat very far. So traveling this far though brought her to the edges of the tank, which were also filled with the most cameras. So this shot of her was taken, as you can see, from one of the video cameras that was hidden in the tank, always watching her, recording data on her, and always lurking in the background where she never noticed and she was never supposed to notice. But now that she has, and she doesn't know what to do, seeing the edges of the tank that look so alien to her, the edges of the tank that look so smooth and unnatural, she still doesn't notice that the camera is hiding behind her either. There's probably a ton of the researchers that are freaking out, but they can't really do anything because then the mermaid would see them and realize that she's not alone, which would just further ruin their research at this point. And can I just mention one thing I thought was kind of clever? So in the finished drawing, you'll see that I kind of added a camera lens to the edges of the drawing to just show that the camera is recording, and so it shows that it's in HD quality. It has a, what else does it have? I forgot. Anyway, it has HD quality, I know that. So it shows the time, and so I had a hard time coming up with the numbers for the time because I wanted them to symbolize something. So I ended up going with 228448. These numbers, if you dial them on a cell phone, spell out the word caught, as in she was caught and trapped in this tank, or she was caught doing something that she shouldn't. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of clever. I'm kind of proud of that. Also, while drawing the background for this, I did not think it was going to come together. I thought I ruined the painting genuinely because the paint was just so streaky for the background because I didn't want to use too much paint and waste it. So I ended up having to do like 3 coats of paint to get it to look decent. And that also just like took way too long, like 2 hours honestly, and it would have been boring to watch, so I cut the video a little after I started painting the background so it wouldn't get super boring to just have speed paint footage of me ripping my hair out trying to get this background to look good. Alright, I think that wraps up both of these paintings. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble. My mouth sure did not. It is so dry. Thank you so much for watching till the end if you liked it, and you should definitely consider liking, commenting, or even subscribing. Also, I've heard other creators say this before and kind of wanted to try it out myself, so if you have any headcanons, lore, or writing you want to add to my characters, I would love to hear your interpretations on their stories about them below as well. It would really honestly make my day to see some writing inspired by a silly painting and story I came up with. So with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye!